But we do want to get back to Windsor, Ontario right now. This is where the Ambassador Bridge is, of course, and where police have begun to enforce the injunction order, trying to disperse the protesters right now. And with that, let's rejoin once again Ellen Morrow. And, you know, Ellen, as we have been saying here, the enforcement really began about a couple of hours ago in earnest. Police moving very slowly. What is happening right now?
Well, it seems about every half an hour at this point, Michael, we're being moved further up. Basically, every time me and you and I are about to speak. So we just got moved up a few seconds ago by the police line. We'll give you a sense of it now. So you can see we're pretty far back from that intersection that's been the main site of this blockade since Monday night. You can see the police line is a few officers deep at this point. Beyond the police, we have two tactical vehicles. We'll just turn around and show you the crowd of protesters, Michael. You can hear some shouts of freedom from those men there. You see the group, dozens if not hundreds of people here with Canadian flags. We've had a few singings of "O Canada" throughout the morning. On the other side of the median there is where the pickup trucks have been parked since Monday night. There's still a lot of pickup trucks here. We have seen some leave throughout the morning as police tell people that if they don't, their vehicles could be towed, and because of the state of emergency, they could also lose their license. So we'll just turn back around now to the police line, the police presence. We've just moved up further again. You can see the officers. If we can just kind of push over to the side of the police line, you can see some of the RCMP support officers there in more military-style gear with guns. So there on the side of the protest there, we have that tactical vehicle behind the police lines. And we also have city buses. Unclear if that's a transport for police or for reinforcements, or if that's where they want protesters to go to help get them out of here. But you can see all this response. You can't see this part, but we also have tow trucks as a part of this advancing police presence if people refuse to take their vehicles out of here. We also have surveillance on the roof of that building there, looking down at the crowd. What we've seen throughout the morning, Michael, is as the police line has advanced away from the Ambassador Bridge, away from that intersection here in Church Road, we've seen the protesters move back. We haven't seen anyone absolutely refuse to move. From our vantage point, we haven't seen any arrests here this morning. But when we talk to protesters, you know, some of them say they're willing to get arrested. They're willing for that to happen today. So what we've seen so far, though, is that they have just moved back. We'll have to watch how this develops throughout the morning. There's a bit of tension happening right here. So it is a tense situation. We're just sort of waiting to see if the protesters just continue to move out. Do they at some point stop and there is more of a confrontation with officers? That could happen. We've seen the Windsor police force tweeting throughout the morning saying people have to leave. We've had announcements that have been played out saying people have to leave. There is an injunction that's been in effect here since 7 p.m. last night to end this blockade. Yeah, a bit of tension here now, Michael. And we have seen that throughout the week too. You know, protesters disagreeing on what their next steps are to proceed.
Ellen, I'm gonna actually interrupt you and ask that your cameraman focus in on that bit of tension, and let's just listen to it for a little while, if that's okay.
It's quite fluid and it's moving around in terms of that. We have a guy here, and I honestly can't really hear exactly what he's saying or what the cause.
If we could just listen for a while. If we can just listen for a while, Ellen.
Actually, to listen in on that. But we can pull back over to the police presence. And in the background there, I'm not sure if you can see, Michael, but beyond the police is the Ambassador Bridge. You can see it coming out, the blue bridge there. And there's been so much pressure on authorities to do something to end this blockade throughout the week, because that is a crucial trading point between the U.S. and Canada. At least $300 million of trade go back and forth between it every day. There's been a lot of pressure from the American side of that bridge on Canadian authorities to find a way to end this blockade, which is what we're witnessing so far this morning. Now, how long this will go on for, could this become more tense, is really something that's going to play out throughout the day. Are they just going to keep pushing the crowd back until another intersection where they can get out? It really is unclear. When we talk to the protesters about how they feel about this past week, they're upset that this blockade is coming to an end, but a lot of them say that they're proud at what has happened here over the past few days. When we ask about the disruption, the economic disruption to the blockade, they say, that was part of the point, was to make a message. So it was to get across that message by causing that kind of disruption. So this is what's been unfolding throughout the day here today. It started out quite slow with the police arriving at around 8 a.m. It's definitely escalated in the last little while. And so now we just wait and see how this advance from officers goes.
Okay, listen, you and I will speak again, Ellen. Let's just hold the shot for a moment if we can. Just take in what is taking place right now in Windsor.
If we just go back to the police, and you guys can just kind of see. What we've also seen here is protesters coming up to the police line and shouting at the officers, telling them to stand down, telling them not to advance. That's been part of what we've seen from protesters here this morning. I'm not sure if Rob can push back or if you can see beyond the officers, but there are dozens of OPP vehicles that are stationed behind this line, as well as on both side streets. And this is a dramatic increase in police presence here today, Michael. Throughout the course of the week,
and we're also seeing, we should just point out that we're also seeing, as promised, police said that they would tow away vehicles that were left on the street. And right now we're actually seeing, Ellen, we're seeing right now a vehicle being put onto the back of a tow truck. And again, the confrontation of protesters with police as they're trying to tell them to stop the enforcement that's happening here. Let's take a listen.
One step closer to the forthright.
So, Ellen, very quickly, what are you watching out for at this point? Because you and I will check in again before this day is done, of course. But what are you keeping an eye out right now for?
Well, as tense as the situation is, Michael, as far as I can see from where we are, and obviously we're at one corner of the situation, we haven't seen anyone be arrested yet, so that will be something to watch out for. Does there come a point where protesters simply refuse to leave, and then do police need to escalate their force in a situation like that? So that's obviously the main thing we're going to be looking for. I think beyond today, how do authorities ensure this doesn't happen again in a few days? Are we going to see police forces sort of need to babysit this border, essentially, to make sure another blockade doesn't come up? I've asked protesters today if they feel like they'll be back or what their next steps are when this ends, and they say, they're not ruling out coming back to try to again get these messages across about wanting to end COVID mandates and broader critiques against the government, despite the fact that coming here does block a very crucial trading point. Again, $300 million worth of trade a day, despite the fact authorities have called this an illegal occupation, despite the emergency order, and despite this injunction. If we can just kind of push in on the median, you see the crowd, you also see those officers. You can see the officer there in black with a gun, and then beyond him, again, we have those more military style officers that I believe are from the RCMP, and there's the tactical vehicle behind it, and the officers in the more military gear. So we just keep getting pushed up, and we're just going to have to see, at some point, do officers come from the other side and it's boxed in? Do we just keep going up towards different intersections? It really is fluid. But again, as tense as it is, we haven't really had a very dramatic standoff in terms of people absolutely refusing to move and police having to arrest people.
Okay, Ellen, we'll speak again, but for now, thank you. Ellen Morrow tracking the police enforcement now taking place around the Ambassador Bridge just south of it in Windsor, Ontario.